is going to be my 3/4 of a century for you.
That's November 17th.
17th, it's a Saturday.
What time?
2:30 on until we get tired.
Was that your birthday? Is that your birthday?
Well, it's a few days after my birthday, but it's the closest Saturday to my birthday. The preceding Saturday is the Art and Wine Festival, so it'll be too, even though, I don't know if my shop's open by then, I'll be busy on that Saturday, so.
How old did you say?
3/4 of a century.
Grief.
That's old. I'm old.
That's older than me.
Well, yeah, I'm still, Joe Dassel has me beat back home. I'm trying to catch him, but he keeps going, you know, so I can't catch him. But anyway, you're all welcome to come to that. If you want to bring something, I always accept money. I don't want presents, I don't want useless gifts. Money, I always take money. I don't feel like you have to bring anything. There's no toll at the door.
The event takes place at 2:30.
Starts at 2:30.
And tell me again the address of the
I
place.
don't know the address. It's the,
Well, repeat what you said.
what I said. What did I say, Doc? It's
Cowboy Way.
on Cowboy Way Plaza over on Elm.
Oh, okay. I know where that is. Yeah.
So it's right next door.
On Elm Street.
On Elm Street, across the street, just west, across the alley from Annie Mae's Coffee Shop.
Yeah.
Across the street from the old First National drive-thru. So it should be pretty easy. Pretty easy to get to. Just look for the crowd, you know.
Yeah. And
Come over here to look at our pictures. Doc and I's pictures are still here. Much of the disappointment of the rest of the town, but they're still here. Vicky's promising to replace them, but unfortunately for us, unfortunately for the town, Matt Jordan is the one who does them, and he's up to here and stuff since Jeff Sales closed down. He doesn't have time to do it, so we don't know when that's going to get done.
there'll be lunch and musical entertainment, right?
It'll be snacks of some kind. I don't promise to feed you. I don't want to take business away from our local restaurants. Come at 2:30, 5 or so, 6 o'clock, go over to the Leafy's or Rewell, not Leafy's, but over to the Rooster or the Barrel House and have dinner. Whatever you like.
You sent us there, right? No, you sent us there, put us
You
on
can
back.
say I sent you there, I won't pay for it.
Oh, no.
Pay for it.
Put it on Conrad. It's worth a try.
If enough people say that, I'll get a free meal off it. You're welcome to tell them that.
You selling the tickets or do we get them at the Arts Center
For what?
for your birthday?
No tickets. I'm not a ticket. I should sell tickets. I'll make some money.
That'd be good.
I might make a nickel, 10 cents or something. I still haven't located my poetry books. They're in the back in a box someplace in the middle of all the other books. So the 2 books that I found for last month, I still haven't lost them, which is good for me, because I tend to lose things. So I'm going to read a few things from this book, which is just called Christian Poetry, done by the Erdman's Company. Grand Rapids, which was published in 1983, and it's just Christian poetry, like it says. And I'll pick 2 or 3 of them. They're really short. They give each page. Some poets rate more than 1 page, but mostly just a page. And they give a brief bio of the poet, like this Longfellow fellow here, just a brief thing and then a poem. And so, I don't remember what I read last month. If I read the same one, yell at me that we've heard it before, and I'll skip to something else. I think I read Go Down Moses last time, so it won't be bad again. Let me see. 1929. I'll read one of his called Waste. Waste of muscle, waste of brain, waste of patience, waste of pain, waste of manhood, waste of health, waste of beauty, waste of wealth, waste of blood and waste of tears, waste of youth's most precious years, waste of ways the saints have trod, waste of glory, waste of God, war.
Your style.
Sounds like Stephen Crane.
This is by a guy named G.K. Chesterton. You may have heard of him. The G.K. stands for Gilbert Keith. I'm not going to do that. He was born in 1874. He lived to 1936. And this is called A Donkey. When fishes flew and forests walked and figs grew upon thorns, some moment when the moon was blood, then surely I was born. With monstrous head and sickening cry and ears like Aaron's wings, the devil's walking parody on all four-footed things. The tattered outlaw of the earth, of ancient crooked will, starved, scourged, deride me, I am dumb, I keep my secret still. Fools, for I also had my hour, one far fierce hour and sweet. There was a shout about my ears and palms before my feet. For those unfamiliar with the Christian story, that was about Christ coming into Jerusalem on the colt. And last from this book, I will read from a fellow named Digby Mackworth Dolben, who was born in 1848 and died in 1869. So he didn't make it very long. 19 years. He lived for 19 years. And this poem is called I Asked for Peace. I asked for peace, my sins arose and bound me close. I could not find release. I asked for truth, my doubts came in, and with their din, they wearied all my youth. I asked for love, my lovers failed, and griefs assailed around, beneath, above. I asked for thee, and thou didst come to take me home within thy heart to be. That's some Christian poetry. And then, as I did last month, I read a couple of Robert Schumann's from his book, Listen to the Warmth. This book was published in England for 15 shillings. And shillings, you know what that means?
12 pence to the shilling, 20 shillings.
Shillings. Money.
Yeah, it's money. So it's money. It's
Yeah.
the stuff they use in England.
12 pence to the shilling, 20 shillings to the pound.
Okay. I'd say it was 3/4 of a pound, I think. Anyway, it was originally published in 1968. This is a reprint. It's the fourth impression, published in 1970. It was dedicated to E.
The Steve?
E.
Huh?
A, B, C, D, E, the fifth letter of the alphabet. It's dedicated to the fifth letter of the alphabet. Not many letters of the alphabet get dedications from anybody famous, but And these, most of these are not named, they're just numbered. So it's really hard to pick one out, because you have no idea what they're about. Here's one called 32. First aid, last rites, the hour-to-hour way we live. God is in our minds every time we hit the trench. An hour later, true time takes over and fills us up with love remembered, or good time love to come. I killed a man today. The only thing I'd hurt before was you one time while making love, and then I only kissed too hard. How does it feel to kill? Like dying lonesome and unloved yourself, like cutting living grass, or losing all your marbles in a match that wasn't right. They are not dummies on that infiltration field. The silent enemy breathes too. Someone should have told me that before I ran that endless field. When true time takes me over now, after God has held my mind a while, I think of love. I love my fellow man, perhaps a little more today. Tomorrow I'll go gently then and give the other side a chance. This actually has a title. It's called Row the Boat Ashore, and it was dedicated for Michael Stratton. Again, I have no idea who these people are. Obviously, Rod McEwen did. Of course, that's reminiscent of Michael Row the Boat Ashore. You may remember that folk song from the 60s. My friend Michael wants to be a poet. He has the right credentials. Once a phallic cymbal player in a burlesque band, he kept his eye upon the navel, not upon the orange. Hard to do when you love bodies, barfly or barbell types. Michael's words ran right. He learned there in a world of rays, even in the dead of night. Still, he reads Ann Landers' advice to the lovelorn, but skirts the playboy philosophy. He prays for ideal love instead. Rightly so, he wants to be a poet. This is called Here He Comes Again. Here he comes again, head high and smiling, shaking down the world, playing it cool. He smiles as though he'd never been, haunted by the crowd, beaten by all the fools. Think of all the men who never knew the answers. Think of all of those who never even cared. Still, there are some who ask why, who want to know, who dare to try. Every now and then we meet the kind of man, here he comes again, and now he's gone. A couple more broads and then we'll turn it over to someone else. I know you.
Good to see you.
You're a day early, or evening early, in this weather
I
too.
almost made it. Almost.
In this weather too. I trust you have your canoe parked outside somewhere.
Yes, sir.
This is for Jesse Pearson. Whoever Jesse Pearson was or is, it's called The Time of Noon. We're reading Rod McEwen. When you're alone at night, and the old memories call you back to help you do the things that will put you to sleep, don't work anymore. And even the aphrodisiac of magazines doesn't help. And there's no place to go, no one to call. Try thinking about the sun. The way it catches in the trees sometimes. The way it follows you while riding in a car. The way it plays in the hair of strangers on the beach. The way it climbs hills with you and pushes you from bed into morning. Think about the time of noon when everybody's just a little crazy. Remember that the cliffs are white and steep and you'll grow tired climbing them, tired enough to sleep. What you're thinking about isn't really the cause of perspiration on your forehead. It's only the sun. It's just the time of noon. That's it for me. Who's next? Are you going to read one of these days? You know, you just can't go on reading. You don't have to write it.
Want me to go next?
Go ahead.
All right.
Who wants to go? Nobody wants to go next? I'll keep reading if no one wants to go.
I'll go.
All right. Stole my comfy chair.
What we did.
All right. Well, I got 4 pieces. That's cool. Just a few. I'm going to read this one. I didn't get to finish writing down. So, all right. All right. The first one is "He's Just a Man," and this was inspired by "Just a Woman" by No Doubt. Or "I'm Just a Woman." Sorry. So, it's a different twist. So just letting you know. I don't know if you ever heard the song. It's funny. All right. He's just a man. He's just a man living in 2018, being accused of sexual allegations by too many women. He's just a man in 2018 trying to survive in a world of women accusing him and so many other men with sexual allegations. He's just a man living in 2018, always on his guard and being forced to always prove his innocence everywhere he goes. He's just a man living in 2018, trying to survive in this world of too many women crying rape, as if it is the new old crying wolf saying. He's just a man in 2018 being found guilty in the courts, whether he is guilty or innocent, and being sentenced to any amount of years to life in prison. He's just a man living in 2018 being forced to accept 3rd and 4th generation feminism and women empowerment and women being better than men being forced onto him and other fellow men as well. He's just a man in 2018, always wondering and asking, where has all the masculinity gone to? He's just a man living in 2018, wondering and pondering why women of today are redoing old movies which originally had male-dominant roles and replacing them with female-dominant roles. He's just a man living in 2018, wishing he had recorded every second, every minute, every hour, every week, every month, every year of his life in order to have actual video footage evidence proving his innocence from power-hungry and gold-digging women as well. He's just a man in 2018, always wondering and pondering what the hell has happened to today's society and generations. He's just a man living in 2018, being blamed for being a chauvinist because he believes in being a macho man and hanging out with other men and wants to bring back the old times, which he fantasizes about being in again. That's in peace. All right. So this one is called "What Wasted Waste." What wasted waste? Wasted debates, wasted dialogues, wasted breaths, wasted efforts, wasted energies, wasted times, wasted days, wasted weeks, wasted months, wasted years, wasted lifetimes, wasted knowledges, wasted secrets, wasted powers, wasted egos, wasted loves, wasted emotions, wasted existences, wasted pleasures, wasted pains, wasted pleasurable pains, wasted gains, wasted seeds, wasted ideas, wasted beliefs, wasted fictions, wasted thoughts, wasted minds, wasted actions, wasted words, wasted poems, wasted proses, wasted spoken words, wasted poetic proses, wasted literatures, wasted artworks, wasted philosophies, wasted books, wasted injustices, wasted principles, wasted ethics, wasted morals, wasted proofs, wasted evidences, wasted sciences, wasted religions, wasted myths, wasted fairy tales, wasted fables, wasted legends, wasted histories, wasted everythings, wasted anythings, wasted waste. Are we? Or are we not wasted waste? Are we not wasted nothings? That's in peace, no? Alright, I got 2 more. This one is riding exercise I'm working on right now. It's not finished, I just want to share it with you guys. Alright, it's not titled yet, so it's very short. I spun myself out of my insignificant existence into this world and universe as a mundane, monotonous, loving robot into a creative, boisterous, creative, I wrote it twice, okay, sorry. Into a creative, boisterous, autonom by fusing connections with others on the same wavelengths as myself. By letting my voice be heard through my writings, by voicing my opinions adamantly, especially when it differs from others, by always speaking my mind on everything that I believe and don't believe in, even when it's unpopular to the questioning crowd. That's in peace. I got 1 more. So Halloween's coming up, and it's my birthday, if you don't know, and I wrote a small little synopsis of it. That's what's up next. Alright, Happy Halloween is the title. Ghosts, ghouls, goblins, spirits, wines, pumpkins and their spices, jack-o'-lanterns and their flickering candlelights, scarecrows, spiders and their webs, skulls, bats, rats, black cats, crows, skeletons, undead, witches, their spells, and witchcraft, warlocks, their spells and witchcraft, necromancers, dead-talking, divinations, ancestors, rituals, rites, vampires, werewolves, mummies, shapeshifters, gargoyles, boogeymen, monsters, creatures, creepy crawlers, grim reapers, devils, cemeteries, tombstones, crosses, pentagrams, pinnacles, tricks or treats, truths or dares, haunted houses, haunted hayride, netherworlds, paranormal, macabre, weird, ghastly, gory, creepy, cute, nerdy, sexy, costumes, food, harvest, candy, festivities, beautiful decay of nature, full moons, thinnest line between our world and the spiritual realm, which allows beings to cross over, myths, legends, superstitions, songs, poems, books, death symbolism, evil symbolism, cool weather, foggy bogs, horrors, terrors, scares, screams, gothic elements, Samhain, and Day of the Dead origins, worshippers, corporatism, and consumerism. Both make money off of it and ruin it. That's in peace. Thank you. Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, I'd like to say I've been too busy to write anything, but it's more like I've been too lazy.
Uh-oh. Procrastination.
Been doctoring sick calves and all kinds of stuff. Okay, I've got 3 here. I know this book, but I've really never heard of many people in his book. But this is by Arthur Chapman. It's called The Old Dutch Oven, because I do a lot of Dutch oven cooking myself, so I'm going to read it. Some sigh for cooks of bygone days, but none of them for me. One round-up cook was best of all. 'Twas at the X-Bar Tea. And when we heard the grub pile call at morning, noon, and night, the old Dutch oven never failed to cook things just right. It was covered over with red-hot coals, and when we fetched her out, the biscuits there were the sort no epicure could flout. I ain't so strong for boyhead grub, 'cause summer, spring, or fall, the old Dutch oven baked the stuff that tasted best of all. Perhaps it's cause our appetites are always mighty sharp, the men who ride the cattle range ain't apt to kick or carp. But anyway, I find myself a-dreaming of that bread the old Dutch oven baked for us beneath those coals so red. What's the next one? I got to over here. This is by E.A. grinding stool. It's called the old yellow slicker. I'm going to do that because I've been wearing my old yellow slicker quite a bit lately. How dear to my heart was that old yellow slicker I carried way back in my cowpunching days. 'Twas stiff as a board, but I wasn't a kicker when it was a-raining and me hunting strays. I carried it tied to the back of my saddle, all ready for blizzard or windstorm or rain. It was my salvation when I had to straddle my bronc and load out on a mud-spattered plain. The old yellow sticker, that spacious old slicker, I carried on many a roundup campaign. That old yellow slicker was big and was roomy. It sure kept me dry when the rain trickled down. I wore it on night herd and the skies black and gloomy. It covered me well from my feet to my crown. No matter how sloppy or muddy or lowly, no matter how cold or unpleasant the storm, no matter how blustering, gusty or showery, that old yellow slicker I wore to keep warm. That ill-fitting slicker, that fish old certain slicker, its mission never failed yet to perform. That old yellow slicker, which I defended, hangs there in the bunkhouse against the log wall. Its mission fulfilled and its range life is ended. No more do the herds on a cattle trail call, but sometimes I dream in the dim summer's glooming, and there in the embers which flicker and change, I catch a glimpse of the herds that were roaming. And think of that slicker I wore on the range, that battered old slicker, that old yellow slicker, a cattle day relic I'll never exchange. Let's see, I've got one more dog here. This is about the same guy, and I just kind of like it for no special reason. He's nature's child. He's rough and wild, the son of the range is wild. Though he packs a gun, he is keen for fun. When in from the herds he'll ride. For through and through you find him true, and kindly his keen gray eye. And he'll serve a friend to the utmost end, though doing it he may die. For months he'll stay in the sagebrush gray and mingle with cows and steers. No welcome face round the whole darn place, nor a woman's voice in his ears. Though he isn't stuck on the tin-can truck that the range cook feeds him there. He doesn't frown as he gulps it down as long as he gets his share. In the mud and the rain and storm-swept plain, when the landscape is wet and blurred, he rides and rides over the great divide and watches the straggling herd. In the glaring heat or the summer sleet, when blizzards howl and wail, or draw and swell, he guards them well in the teeth of the blinding gale. He comes to town with the thirst to drown for months in solitude. He howls like sin and he gets run in if he's scrappy or rough or rude. But when he's free and has quit his spree, he'll strike through the range once more. And the outdoor joys with the two bar boys in bed on the bunkhouse floor.
He's still doing his homework.
I found a young picture of Joe Dan
Oh, wow.
when he started first writing poetry. So
I remember that promise.
I'll give that to him before I read mine. So that's about your Dan? That's 10 town? So I'll let you hang that on the wall.
Thank you, sir.
I'm trying to purge stuff at my place, and I couldn't figure a better man to give that picture to. I've got a couple I'm going to read. One of them was anonymous, who wrote it. The other one is one that I wrote back in 2012. It was 134 years when the railroad come through Winnsboro. But the first I'm going to read is about the old hangman. The old hangman sat alone with his rope in his hand, working on 13 knots, which would hang any man. He had done this many times since he'd come out west, but this was going to be one that would put him to the test. A young man robbed a bank and shot a lady standing by. He pleaded innocent to the crime, but had no alibi. The jury found him guilty and sentenced him to die. The clock struck midnight as the hangman finished his chore. Getting ready to try to sleep, he hung it on the door. He turned the lantern down low as he started for his bed, removed his hat, got on his knees, and slowly bowed his head. He asked that he be forgiven for what he was about to do. Then said, please take the lady home to be with you, and asked that the young man be forgiven too. The sun came up early the next morning, as he had no sleep. He regretted being the hangman for the destiny that he had to keep. People came from all around to watch this young man die. Slowly walking up to the gallows, the cowboy began to cry. As he placed the rope on the neck, he whispered to him low, be brave, my son. It's a far better place you're about to go. Give your mother all my love. I'll be there before you know it. So he had hangs on his son. This one, like I said, I wrote it in 2012, and I read it over at the train depot. It's called Tracks of Time. The wagons lined the roads as far as one could see, hauling freight cross country daily for little to no fee. The towns got word that the train was coming any day. Each one wanted to see it happen, and the tracks began to lay. Winnsboro, Webster, Cornersville was the three wanting it all, but only one would finally get word, and it was before that fall. Nancy Cook, widow of J.A. Cook, quite a lady, and that was her name, soon would go down in her own local Hall of Fame. 100 acres of her prime rich land she gave. The other 100 she owed or promised she decided to be saved. So it was on September 30th, 1878, the East Line and Red River Railroad, a deed was signed, and it had all the land they needed, leaving 2 other towns very sad. The lots, blocks, and streets that were promised by them were all laid out. Soon the new town of Winnsboro, in everyone's mind, would be no doubt. Most of all, Webster and Cornersville soon packed up and moved our way, since the railroad made their plans with nothing for them now left to say. The tracks were laid and the depot was built here. Progress was soon seen by all from both far and near. More buildings were built to worship, shop, and eat. And when nightfall came, a few more places to lay down and sleep. The train whistle blew for ever so many years, but time came that we had to share some tears. For it was in January 1885 Nancy took her last breath, seeing a few trains stop and pass through before her untimely death. As we close our eyes and listen each day closely when the train whistle blows, we can see Nancy looking about with all that certain Winnsboro glow. She will always be remembered, as the local books will have said here, and for the family and friends, she will always be, oh, so very dear. Thank you.
glad I could make it tonight. Kelly could not make it tonight, so I figured in her honor, I did a quick Google and found an interesting piece to read. It's called An Epic Ode to Humor, and it's actually written by Kelly Swanson. So Kelly, this one's for you. An Epic Ode to Humor. Humor is the fun factor of our speech, the key piece to provide emotional release from what we teach, from the impact of our training, from the tension of our truth, from the tedium of data and information, which on its own has no impact. It's the punch for our pathos. It's not just added nice, added in-betweens, but the very means by which you wrap our content in a way that makes it easier to follow, much more fun to swallow, and turns the act of delivering information into a show. And when you have the ability to entertain, wrapping content into each refrain, and when you strive to do it well, you see that content works, but funny sells. Perhaps you've tried only to be burned. Fear not, humor cannot be learned. Yes, I was always the funny one, the class clown. Everyone gather around. Give her a beer and see what she will do. So I was funny by nature, or was it created? No time here to be debated. I was funny in real life. When the situation presented, I would react with a witty retort of some sort. But being funny with a beer, surrounded by friends, is not the same as being funny on stage when no situation is presented. So by accident on stage, I created laughter. But then ever since thereafter, like chocolate, fake tans, the bedazzler, and more, I was hooked and wanted more. But I didn't know how to be funny on purpose. And it isn't that where most of us get stuck, even the funny ones. And so I watched and I studied and I wrote and I wrote and I practiced and bombed. And I took classes and read book after book, formula after formula. It was harder than college. Then again, I went to Appalachian. Not sure what that means, but which is not where I learned to be a motivational speaker, because apparently there's no degree in that. No course where you sit around and just cheer each other up. But I digress. And so I worked moving words here and there and getting funnier all the time without even realizing it. And I did say it was hard, because humor is more than just three men walking into a bar.
The red things are blanking.
Okay,
Everything's
I'm good. Okay, cool.
And you can use this to stabilize
All
it.
right.
Hello, everybody. I'm Shelman, and I sent out the reminder of this last night, and I said I have an appointment in Longview at 3 o'clock, and I hope it does not make me late or make me miss the meeting. It did not, but it was not fun driving in that rain. I want to just say a few things about some things that have been read and said here today. When Jim was reading his poem and mentioned one of his poems, and he mentioned the old yellow slicker. You know, if you've seen very many cowboy films, you know, working cowboys wore those old yellow slickers when it rained. I think they carried them maybe in their bedroll or pack or something on the back of their horse, back of the saddle. I'm not sure. But there's a line in the song, The Old Chisholm Trail, can't quote the whole verse, but it's something like, you know how that song goes, woke up one morning and the ocean's a trailer, ribbon on the heifer, and a cow with a tail, and the tide got all that stuff. There's one line in there where, and there's hundreds of verses, that have been written communally, true folk song. And one of the lines in there says, getting cloudy and it looks like rain, and I darned those stickers in the wagon again. Don't have it with him. But those were made out of some kind of what we used to call oilcloth, I think, and you can still buy jackets and stickers made out of that oilcloth. There's a company that's specialized in it. It's called Outback Trading. When I heard that, all those images, all those cowboy movies, when it's raining, usually it's raining, at some time in the cowboy movie and all that. Now, the picture that Doc gave me here of the young kid in the overalls, the cowboy poetry written over it, there are several pictures of me at this approximate age, and all of them I'm wearing bib overalls, the striped jacket, like this. Well, no, these aren't. This is the solid color. Usually I was wearing the striped kind, and that does actually look a lot like I did at that age. And I do have the pictures to prove it. I treasure this. Thank you, Doc. I don't know. I thought when Eric was reading his poem, I thought, how timely, that, or the one about just a man in 2018, and, nobody will cut me a break, and all the women are out to get, it was so timely.
Thank
you. I empathize with, and I appreciate you putting that down on paper. I think a lot of men probably feel a lot like that this day and time. I don't know. I was especially moved today by Vic's poem about ode to humor. I spent my entire adult life as a journalist, and I worked for agricultural publications. I started out with the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, and then spent most of my life with a magazine called Farm Journal in 4 or 5 different places, including the home office in Philadelphia. And, I dealt with a lot of writers, freelance writers, bought a lot of stuff from freelance writers everywhere in this country. And, it is a rare person who can write humor very well. Now, it's one thing to entertain people, verbally and with body language and things like that. That is a true gift too. Don't misunderstand me. That is a real talent, a rare talent. Anybody who can entertain other people has been blessed with a rare talent, no matter how the person's doing it. But somebody and being funny, being funny, as you said in the poem, cannot be learned. It is something that I think is, for the most part, a part of your DNA. It's some way you're born with it. And I only knew a few, very few. I knew a lot of gifted drivers. I bought a lot of their stuff and edited a lot of their stuff that came out. I was an editor and a writer all that time. And I want to say that I knew a lot of great writers, but I could count all of the great humor writers on this hand, or this hand, one and the things on one hand. Right. The very best one I ever knew, personally, dealt with, and helped, worked on his copy and tried to imitate him even, and this sort of thing. I tried to write humor, and actually won a humor contest a humor writing contest one year, but that was a fluke, it wasn't something. The true test of somebody who can write good humor is doing it every day, or every week, whatever. You're meeting a deadline, Somebody like Dave Barry, I don't know if he still writes. I don't see him anymore. I don't get print newspapers anymore. But you know, he was on he had a syndicate. You know, he was a syndicated humor writer, and he would write, I think, 3 columns every week, and I would die laughing at every one of them. You know, I'm telling you, he had the talent, and the fact that he could do that 3 times a week, you know, showed that he had something really, really special. But the best one that I ever worked with personally was Gene Logston, and I knew 2 or 3 others that were in his league, but maybe not quite as good as he was. But I just want to say that if you think it's easy to write humor, just try to do it. You know, if you've never tried it, just give it a try.
That's pretty hard.
And it's really, really hard. It's easier to entertain people verbally and with body language, even though that's very, very difficult. But to make them laugh at something you've written, you know, man, I admire you. I mean, I will kneel down before you and pronounce you a writing god. You know, this I think has been a really special meeting today. I think there's some really good poetry and good thoughts that came out. I appreciate being a part of this, and thank you all for letting me be here. Thank you, Vic, for the use of this great facility. Conrad for being our rock, the guy who used to provide the facility and keeps us going with his encouragement and starting us off with a report on what's going on in the community and all that. You know, we have a good thing going, and I just hope we can keep it up. I'm going to read a poem today. I think I've read 1 or 2 by him over the past times that I've been here. My best friend in high school was Bartow Fanning, B-A-R-T-O, Bartow. That was a nickname. His real name was Norris Lynn Fanning, but everybody except the teachers called him Bartow, and even a few of the teachers called him that. He was my best friend personally from 7th grade through the 12th grade, and to this day we're still good friends and are still in touch. You know, it's rare when you have a friend like that all of your life, you know, from some of your earliest recollections until today. You know, we're both still living, we're getting old, but, you know, we still correspond. And he writes poetry. In fact, he sent me this, I put it in a binder. He's got a title page on it called Bartow's Verse. And this is just his choice of some of his best poetic writings. And the subtitle of it is The Poetry and Lyrics of Bartow Fanning. And it's all kinds of stuff. He's even, some of you have heard the instrumental song Under the Double Eagle. Is anyone here who's not heard that? Everybody but Eric has heard, or Vic hadn't heard it. Okay, it started live. It's by a guy named Wagner, W-H-E-N-E-R. And he wrote it as a marching band march, as a marching song, kind of in the, sort of like, a little bit like in the Sousa, John Philip Sousa tradition. But it was originally written for, you know, brass bands. But in the 30s, country bands that you know, had guitars and fiddles, mandolins, some of them started doing it. And the classic version, and it has no words, it's just an instrumental song. And the classic version of it with a country band was done by a group called Bill Boyd, no relation, and the Cowboy Ramblers. Now, he was big in the 30s. He had a band called Cowboy Ramblers. And he also starred in movies, you know, Gene Autry type movies, Western movies, this sort of thing. And his band did I think a 1935 version of that to me today is still the best version of it. There's some other really, really good versions of it, and we'll probably hear one tomorrow night, I'm just guessing, Doc, at Tenney Chapel tomorrow night, beginning at 6:30, the Tennis Chapel Music Night. We'll have 90 minutes of free family entertainment of music. And quite often somebody will play that instrumental under the double eagle. Well, it has no words, but Bartow wrote words to it. Now, I'm not going to read that one tonight, but, you know, he thought that song needs to have words. And I've heard him sing it, you know. It's a pretty nice set of words to it. But the one I want to read tonight is one that I think it's a very great tribute, historical. It's historically accurate as far as I know, called The Battle of Adobe Walls. I'll let that sink in. So I've probably heard Adobe Walls, maybe The Battle. So I'm going to, and it's one of his longer poems. Most of his poems are only maybe a page, you know, maybe a little less, maybe a little over, but around a page of writing. This one is a little longer. And it's what I would call almost an epic poem. I'm going to try to do it justice here tonight. I believe I put on my reading glasses. Maybe I can do a little more justice. I'm still wearing my rain driving glasses. The Battle of Adobe Walls. Before there was Lubbock a long time ago, before barbed wire fences and the gooseneck hoe, there was a war far away between the blue and the gray, ignored by Comanches, lords of the Llano. They were the savage lords of the Llano. Preserving the Union was not high on their list. Slavery they practiced had a sadistic twist. That was not their fight. Theirs was red against white. At stake was their nation, their right to exist. The Comanche Nation's right to exist. They fought Kit Carson, but he got out alive. Then the buffalo hunters began to arrive. That they just took skin. So the Indian, that was sin. The whites had to go for reds to survive. There was no way both could survive. Asantia swore his medicine was strong. They'd send the pale faces back where they belong. Their confidence high, they could not die. So they put on the war paint and sang the war song. Run the hated pale faces back where they belong. In Hanharon's saloon at Adobe Walls, shooters, skinners, and freighters, 29 all, drank and gambled one night, not expecting a fight. But Chief Quanah would soon make that call. Chief Quanah Parker would soon make that call. Squaw Man, Amos Chapman had heard Quanah say. The remote trading post on the very next day, they planned to attack. They'd pillage, they'd sack, and scalp every white man that got in their way. Scalp all the white men that got in their way. On Buffalo Roads, the hunters bedded down, all but the barkeep, Jim Hanover ran. Then without warning, at 2 in the morning, they woke up in terror to a large cracking sound. What was that loud cracking sound? Jim Hanrahan shouted, "The ridgepole is broke. You're all in danger, and that ain't no joke." The alarm they all swore was Jim's old 44. Too late for more sleeping, they gathered their poke. They were really in danger, that was no joke. Go get some shells for our buffalo guns. The name they called was Bat Masterson's. Bat just said no. I ain't gonna go. Doc said to avoid getting lead in my buns. He did not really say lead in my buns. Trying to save their horses in the stockade, Billy Tyler fell wounded, and that's where he lay. Bat ran to his side, but Billy still died. And yet Bat survived the intense fusillade. Lots of lead in the air from that fusillade. They drew Quanah's blood with one shot they fired. Asatia was dead wrong in that regard. Bill Nixon's last kill was a brave on yon hill. There was 1,583 yards, 1,583 yards. After 3 days, the Comanches lost heart. They picked a bad fight, and they got the worst part. The white men had won with the buffalo gun. First blood in a war that they helped start. The Red River War that they helped to start. Mackenzie's campaign was the Red River War. Comanches knew what they were fighting for. Whites may have lost, no telling the cost. The government hired Quanah as negotiator. Quanah Parker was the chief negotiator. The end.
It's good. I like that.
And to conclude, as we always do, one paragraph from How to Read a Poem and Fall in Love with Poetry.
Before you read that, Joe Dan, one little announcement I forgot. Last weekend we were supposed to have a crafts show out here on Elm and Market. It was supposed to be an all-day event. We were supposed to have a big race, a big .05K race, and the outhouse race, well, that was all washed away because it rained on Saturday. And so tomorrow at the City Auditorium at the Civic Center, they will have that show. They will have the outhouse race, and they'll have the .05K race. And the craft show will be from about 8 or 9 in the morning until about 5 in the afternoon. And from what I understand, the .05K race will start at 1 o'clock at the Civic, in the Civic Center, in the City Auditorium. So, if you want to support the craft people, you want to see the race or participate in the race, or watch the outhouse race, I don't know where that's going to be held, but it will all be at the Civic Center tomorrow. So if you have a chance, it's supposed to be nice tomorrow. Farmers market in the morning, go do the crafts in the afternoon. And it's just want to let you know that because the word really hasn't gotten out very well about that craft show being there. It was canceled last week.
Okay. Thank you. It's only a 5-line paragraph today. The recognition here is that what he is planning is endangered, imperiled, vulnerable. What he plants, he will not be able to protect. The sowing of grain on the headland is his last gesture. His way of putting a message in a bottle when he knows he won't last much longer. The poem concludes with a terrible recognition. Until next time.
All right, Joe Dan, how do you stop the video? How do you stop it? Just press this up here or what? How do you stop it?
Just